welcome to 5 Ways over 5 Days, Day 1. And today we're going to talk about understanding emotions. So our emotions are just part of the human condition. It's really important that we all experience emotions and that we work to try and understand them. For many of us, there have been lots of changes in our daily lives. COVID-19 has brought changes in how we live, how we work, how we socialize. So it's really important that we think about the emotional impact as well as the physical impact that is having for each of us in our day-to-day living. So if we actually think about the components or the individual pieces that make up our emotions, it's actually quite a complex piece. So we're not taught about emotions in school. It's not stuff that we really get to think about so much. We just notice our emotions when they're really strong often. So I want to try to break it down into kind of what our emotions are. So the first thing we need to think about is events. So if we think about events as something that's either outside of us or it can be something that's inside of us, like a memory. So an outside event, for example, might be watching a news item. We're all watching TV and we're all consuming social media now, where we're seeing lots of things in our environment that are events that are triggering some emotional response. And we're also seeing things like yellow signs related to COVID-19 and coronavirus that are also triggering for us at the moment. So what happens next? So we think about then noticing and observing these events. And when we observe these events, we have thoughts. So our thoughts are often classify things as either being good or bad or being black or white. So lots of the things that we're now experiencing in the context of COVID, we are kind of classifying as being maybe in the not so good category. And when we interpret things in that way, when we have those kinds of thoughts, that has an impact on how our body responses and our emotions. So our body responses tend to be made up of changes in brain reactions, so there are chemical changes in our brain. We might notice body changes, so that if we're particularly anxious, we might notice that our body tenses or that we clench up. And then we also might notice that we have urges to act or to kind of move or to do something differently as a response to what we see and what we hear at the event and kind of how we interpret that event or what we think. So once we kind of put those pieces together, once we kind of understand those bits of the jigsaw around emotions, the event, the thoughts and the body response, it's easier then for us to actually put words or put a label on what it is that we're experiencing. So for example, we might notice some of these changes, notice the tension, and you might label that as I'm feeling anxious or I'm feeling afraid or feeling fearful. And when we notice those feelings might be expressed in certain ways, so that we might express the emotion through our actions. So if we're anxious, we might start to withdraw or avoid. If we're angry, we might start to get more agitated and want to hit out or attack. So emotions have 3 functions, or there's a purpose to our emotions. So the first purpose in our emotion is to communicate to ourselves. It's our body's way and our brain's way of letting us know what is going on. So for example, if it's a thing that I have lost something, if I have lost social contact, I might feel sad. I might think that this is something that I don't like. And I might start to notice that sadness and feel it and experience it as a loss. So it's communicating to me that I've lost something important in my life. The second purpose or function of emotions is to communicate to others. So for example, if I have lost something and I was to feel upset and was starting to look downcast or maybe even started to cry, those behaviors start to communicate to other people that I am experiencing emotion, that I am sad, that I have lost something. So I can put that out as words, I can name the feeling of being sad, but I can also express it in a behavioral way. So the final function of emotion is to urge us to take action. So for example, if something is bothering me, or I'm annoyed about something or frustrated about something, that feeling urges me to make that frustration known, that I need to communicate to people that something in the world isn't right, somebody has caused me harm, somebody has blocked an important goal of mine, and the feeling is helping communicate to me that I need to do something different, or that I need to act in a certain way to rectify that situation so that the emotion has done its job. So it's really important that we realize that these emotions have a purpose, they have a function, there's a reason that they're there, and they're trying to help us navigate our way through the world and give us information so that we can actually listen to those emotions and that we can respond in a more effective way. So now that we have a better understanding of our emotions, it's really important that we think about how we actually respond to them. So we have choices here. And I'm going to teach you a skill, and this is called the opposite action to reduce or change emotions. And we use this skill in the context of our intensity of emotion not being justified or not fitting the facts. So if we think about COVID-19, understandably, lots of people feel fear at the moment, and lots of people are being encouraged to socially distance, step away and avoid. And that makes sense, it keeps us safe. However, if we ratchet up the fear and we feel very, very anxious, it might cause us to completely avoid all contact. It means that we shut down from going out, getting exercise, or doing necessary shopping. So the opposite action here is to approach, to actually do those tasks with a degree of caution, but not let the fear completely stop us from doing what's necessary. If we think about COVID-19, understandably, some people are feeling very frustrated at the moment. And when we're frustrated and feeling angry, the urge that we get with that is to hit out or to attack. And at the moment, hitting out or attacking is not justified, particularly if it's your home environment or you're frustrated being cooped up. That doesn't make sense. So here, if we're going opposite action, the focus here is on being a bit more gentle, being a bit kinder to each other. It's not acting on that urge to hit out, because the frustration and the anger and the urge to hit out does not fit the facts. And then finally, if we think about individuals who may have contracted COVID and a feeling of maybe guilt or shame, or maybe worried that you've spread that illness to others, and the action urge that goes with guilt and shame is to hide or withdraw. And obviously we're being encouraged, to take precautions and to step away and not spread the virus and put people at risk. But emotionally, if we're hiding or withdrawing, then that's not justified, because this is not something that we've deliberately done. It's not something that we've chosen or caused. And it's really important that we communicate with people, particularly in the context of contact tracing. So today we've covered a number of very important topics. So I'm hoping that you have a greater understanding of emotions. I'm hoping that you understand that emotions have components and that they have a really important purpose. I'm also hoping that you've now a greater appreciation for your capacity to turn down the emotional volume on your emotions, and that you've an appreciation of using the skill of opposite to emotion action when you check the facts and emotions and their intensity are not justified. So this Just Breathe video from Mindful Schools is a really useful way to understand emotions and practice opposite action.